Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, she, he, and this is Literally Graphic. And today we are looking at the Josei manga Helter, Skelter, Fashion Unfriendly by Kyōko Okazaki. No individual is credited with translation, although production credit of this English edition went to Risa Cho, Nicole Doshish, and Jeremy Kahn. Originally published in Japan monthly from 1995 to 1996, with a bind-up of all these monthly installments published in 2003. We'll get a little more into it under the creator bio section, but the series was cut short. That said, it still seems like it had a pretty big impact and was adapted to a live-action film in 2012. This English edition was published in 2013 by Vertical Inc. As far as content notes, this book is rated 18+ for nudity and sex. There's also a sprinkling of death and blood splatters, plastic surgery, and aspiring to extreme thinness and, quote, perfect beauty are what this book is about, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. Coercion and body horror also feel like they are worth bringing up. According to the English Wikipedia, it appears as if Okazaki largely published between 1983 and 1996, with a couple of collections of previous material since 1996. According to all biographies, she was struck by a drunk driver in 1996, and was still in rehabilitation as of this 2003 collection, originally being put together, and my surface level searching seems to imply that she has still not returned to manga, which is fair, but also the reason that this collection ends so abruptly. Pulling directly from Wikipedia, quote, Kyōko Okazaki is a Japanese manga artist. Okazaki often focuses on urban Japanese life in Tokyo from the 1980s and 1990s. Okazaki's characters are bold and freewheeling, holding unconventional sets of values. Her writings are often studded with modern jargon. Okazaki is one of the early forebears of the Gyaru, sassy girl manga style, end quote. She also wrote the one-shot manga Pink, a bit of a hyper-capitalist satire that I have read previously, but don't currently have a review video for. Something I should definitely look into replacing. Sadly, these two volumes appear to be the only work of Okazaki that has been translated into English, or at least that are in print. I certainly hope that changes. What kinds of keywords apply? Fashion, femininity, cutthroat, surgery, horror. The Goodreads summary of Helter Skelter is, quote, through round after round of extensive plastic surgery and vigorous maintenance, Ririko has become the absolute manifestation of beauty and becomes a wildly successful model, actress, and singer. However, soon her body, unable to withstand the burdens of surgery, begins to crumble. And along with it, so does her mind, as she plummets towards a frightening and inevitable end. A story about a woman's vanity, greed, hatred, and despair by the author of River's Edge. End quote. Okazaki's art style is one of those parts of her work that really stands out, especially if you feel like all manga looks the same. The one other creator who came to my very tired mind is Erika Sakurazawa, although I'm sure there are more examples I am unaware of. The style is fairly loose and minimalistic and was somewhat difficult to follow as a result from time to time. Although I did end up really enjoying the way it contrasted with so much manga I have read, and there is a lot about Okazaki's eye to really appreciate. More on that later. Writing-wise, it felt very fast-paced and very dramatic. Looking at the way gender and sexuality were presented in this tome, there are certainly some positive points, although I would argue there are some negatives as well. Starting out with the positive, I really appreciated the grotesque nudity on display. Very tough thing to depict nudity in a way that does justice to bodies and not just play into the so-called male gaze. This dramatic story is decidedly untitillating, although it does have heavy bush representation. The story is a character study of a deeply flawed woman, written by a woman, taking the problems of women seriously in genre form. Not a must-read or a book for everyone, I can appreciate how much this stands out against gender expectations. Dealing with an entirely fictional character gives it space to do many things that are not generally admirable. That said, the whole thing was a bit judgy to me. I don't know. I'm not a woman, and I certainly do not suffer from an attractive appearance. But I don't spend that much time judging people pursuing good looks either. We are all suffering under capitalism. Although that is perhaps the thesis of the book in more leftist terms. What cinches it for me a bit more clearly is how, despite being very anti-beauty industry, ugliness and deformity is still used as punishment. Within the confines of this abruptly ended series, there is no winning. Obviously, in my world, I would love to see acceptance of all and appreciation for all, no matter their ability, disability, size, and appearance. The second negative is the chaotic, evil, and manipulative bisexual trope. Race was not brought up, as far as I could tell, as usual. The focus of the book is obviously on the pursuit of power and class advancement via one's appearance. To conclude, I can see this being a really interesting and inspiring work for its time, although I appreciate that we have, at least in some small places, gone further now. I never recorded my rating after my initial read many years ago, though I feel like I preferred Pink at the time. Let's go with 3 out of 5 stars, a perfectly reasonable rating in my system. Bye y'all, keep reading, and organized and capitalist oppression. And Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, an Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.